We're live. This is session 2 of Release the Grace Inside of You. And today's speaker, I want to give you a little background. So we met at Gary's mastermind. Gary had a mastermind in the Brickell City Center, I think. Was it? No, downtown South Beach. Yeah. And it was at WeWork, I think. And met Rachelle. Rachelle is in the insurance business and all this stuff. And she came in. She was really sweet, shy but sweet. But she was trying to social and do all that stuff. And then, so long story short, we ended up meeting, we connect, and then, did you come to one of my seminars first?
No, you sent me the pay-per-view.
Oh, that's right, she did the pay-per-view, but then she also did the life coaching session. So she did like the VIP, whatever. So we ended up doing one session, and 4 months later, right? 4 months. So the really cool thing about her is that she's so young. So people say, well, I'm young, I don't have a story. Your story started at 0. At 0 to 5, 5 to 10, 10 to 15. And so I start organizing her story with people that are influential in her life, all these things. So God and behold, about 2 weeks ago, I think, right? We were really organizing her story, and there was like something that spoke to me, and she said, did you say it or I said it? Moving out, moving on? I think I said it. So something came up and says, that's your speech. Moving out, moving on. So Rachelle, literally at her age, even younger, now owns her own place, bought her own car, and today she's going to share a story why she needed to move out of that environment in order to move on and be able to live her dreams. Big round of applause for Rachelle and Surin.
Thank you.
You got this. All right, rock.
All right, hello ladies.
Hello.
Are you all ready to release the greatness inside of you? Awesome. Woo. All right, so my topic is moving out, moving on. When I was younger, it was always a dream of mine to have my own place and be independent. A place where I can come and go as I please, and a place where I make the rules. You know, isn't that a nice feeling when you have your own place? I would daydream about decorating, daydream about how I would decorate it, and just having my own place, just somewhere I can call my own. Always having to ask for permission to do something. A place where I didn't have a voice. And I had expectations already laid out for me. Go to college, become an accountant, work at the tax office, get married, and have kids somewhere along the way. And I felt like I couldn't be myself because I had to live up to these expectations. And someone near and dear to me created a cold environment, created a cold atmosphere in the home. And this family member had a narcissistic personality and talked down to everyone. Have you ever been talked down to, demeaned by someone you love? It's not a good feeling. And this person made living at home very difficult. I mean, can you imagine? I'm at home, I'm being well taken care of, I'm given everything materialistic that I could want, being taken on these amazing trips, but this person has been verbally abusing me my whole life. From a young age, this person liked to call me fat, stupid, a whore, and never made an effort to really get to know me, but yet swore up and down that they knew all about me, about my whole life. Let me ask you ladies something. Have you guys ever changed your look? Yeah? Well, when I was about 12 years old, I had a drastic change in my appearance. I became a goth, an emo kid, you know, with the black hair, the eyeliner, the mascara, all black, listening to screamo music, you know, you name it, that was me. And that didn't make living at home any better, because then the nicknames changed. You know, now I was being called a freak, a devil's child, even being told that my dad is Ozzy Osbourne, you know, that rock and roll king. And it just intensified from there. But then when I started high school, I went to a private Christian school, and there I really had to tone it down, because there I had to wear a uniform, and I had to stay compliant with my hair, with accessories. But I still wore my gothic accessories, I still listened to my music, still hung out with my friends that I felt comfortable with and I fit in with, and they didn't make me feel bad about who I was. But then something interesting happened while I was at that school. I got into health and fitness, and I joined the soccer team, I joined the tennis team, I did cross country, and I was one of the 3 managers on the boys wrestling team. Then when I was in college, I got to pick out my first car, and I didn't have to pay for it. It was a 2011 Mercedes-Benz C300 red, and that was my baby. And I remember people would tell me, oh, you're so lucky to have someone who loves you so much to buy you this nice luxurious car. But don't know that a few years back, while they were teaching me how to drive, is yelling at me and telling me I have an unteachable spirit, I'm never going to be a good driver, and then also giving me curfews and putting so much restrictions on my freedom. And because I was given a car, that meant that I had to follow their expectations. They made me get my 215 license, which is to sell life insurance, annuities, health insurance. And I had to join my parents were with this company that I had to join once I got my license. And I went to all the meetings. I really tried to get into it, but honestly, I hated it. I couldn't do it. And at home, I felt like I couldn't comfortably pursue my talents. I love to draw, I love to cook, and I love to write. But I couldn't cook in peace at home because there was always somebody that would come and put their nose in the pot and be like, oh, what are you doing? What are you cooking? I couldn't write or draw about just anything because I knew my mom went through my drawers, went through my room when I was away. She even admitted to it. So then at 19, I decided that I'm gonna start saving so I can move out and get my own place one day. At the time, I was working at their tax office and I was going to school. And then I got into a serious relationship when I was 20. He was 24. And we were together almost 3 years. He was a nice guy, but every time I would mention moving out or getting a place together, he would always shut it down because he couldn't afford to do it. And ladies, I am so grateful that he said no, because in the 3 years that we were together, you know, this man lost his job twice. He was a corrections officer. He had to fight to get it back, but then he moved into the staff housing. So what went from a 15-minute drive to go see him turned into an hour drive, over an hour, to go to a prison staff house. And his regression and lack of ambition was what eventually led to our breakup. And then one day, my dad, he asked for any phones that I'd like to donate to Haiti. So without even looking through the phone, I just gave it to him. Now, how many of you have sexted before? It's okay, who sexted? So, on that phone were some pictures. And once my parents saw those pictures, they flipped out. You know, they put harsher restrictions on me. I had an 11 p.m. curfew. I had to text them if I was going to be late. And all of this while I was 22. I literally felt like a child. And then a friend from church heard from my parents that I got my license, and he suggested, you know, why don't you try out the health side of it if the life side isn't working out for you? So I did. He told me to apply to this company, and I did. But then I withdrew my application. Why? Because my parents, they told me that they needed me at the office, and that we're gonna work on this life side, and we're all gonna make so much money. But that was not true. They made money, not me. I didn't get a piece of that pie. I just got my hourly. So I had enough, and I ended up applying to a third party for a Medicare health insurance company. I did not like working for the third party, and I didn't like working for it because the people were so negative. They were always complaining, and they're always complaining about not being treated like the employees who worked for the actual company. And I just had enough, you know. They were always complaining, oh, we're not being compensated like the employees, we're not being rewarded like the employees, but yet they still stayed. They made no effort to grow or to move. So I had enough, and once the hiring process season began, I applied, didn't withdraw my application this time, and I got it. So at 21, I started my career in Medicare health insurance. And at that job, I had an amazing supervisor who took me under her wing. She gave me a lot of one-on-one training, which led to me becoming a top producer on my team, well, in the company. And during one of our team meetings, she had us create a vision board. And I remember at the time, my ex and we had just broken up, and I felt like I just had no vision. It was just blank. Like I'm flipping through the magazines, but nothing is catching my eye. And that day, two of my teammates, they are the ones who helped me create my vision board. They sat with me, and they're flipping through the magazines like, do you like this? Do you like that? Okay, we're going to put that on your vision board. We're going to get you a vision board. 2019, open enrollment, was a very demanding time for me. I was working 6-7 days a week, 12-hour days for 3 months. And on my desk, I had my vision board that my colleagues helped me make. And on that vision board was a condo. And I told myself every day, if I could just not only meet my goal, but exceed it, then I'm going to move out and buy my own place, because that means that I can literally do anything I set my mind to. And guess what, ladies? The goal was 96 new plants. I got 107. And then on January 1st, 2020, I closed on my condo at 23. Woo! Thank you. And so, like David was saying earlier, we all have an intuition, you know, especially us women. We've been blessed with that intuition. And we know when we're supposed to move on from something, whether it be moving out from somewhere, moving on from a relationship, changing careers. At 19, I knew I had to move out. December 18th, 2019, at midnight, was the day I made the decision that I was going to move out. I remember I started work at 7:45 a.m. that day, worked the entire day until midnight. It was the last day of open enrollment, and since I was licensed in all the states, you know, other states are ahead, so I got to stay at work until midnight. And I remember walking to my car, and I'm checking my phone, and I see all these missed calls and all these text messages from my parents like, where are you? You're supposed to text us when you're going to be late. What are you doing? You're going to be in trouble. And I just had it because I'm like, I was at work all day from early in the morning. I'm not out here doing anything crazy, and yet I have all this stress, all this pressure that they're giving me. After I made that decision, I got my place. Now I have a new environment. I feel free, and I feel like I can truly express myself. All these things I didn't feel while I was at home. And I promised myself at 19, the same way on August 25th, David made a promise to God, I made a promise to myself that I was going to move out. And then at 23, I made the decision and I did it. I worked my butt off to accomplish that, and I'm here today. So I'm here to encourage you ladies. If there's anyone in the situation or in a relationship that makes you feel unhappy or makes you feel unfulfilled, I encourage you to love yourself enough to leave and move on from that in order for you to release the greatness inside of you. Thank you.
This is the first time she's ever given any speech like this. So I didn't know it was going to be this early. After 4 months, and then 2 weeks ago, we started working on the speech. And this week she started, kind of detailing it and polishing it. And there's still a lot of work to do. Well, for me, because I'm a perfectionist. But to see her, I got emotional, right, when you did it the first time. She practiced it yesterday, and I didn't want to watch it, so I went outside. And then today is the first time I got to see her on this type of stage. But to see someone that was very shy, but what she doesn't tell you is that one of the things that she wanted to do, the way we met, was because she pushed herself to go to events. She was like, I want to be more social. I want to meet more people. As we talked about earlier about environment, her culture was what? Limiting her. Her family, her own family was limiting her. And she couldn't grow in that environment. So she had to make a decision. Now, it took a few years until that day of the text where she's working towards a goal, and it's only an hour after her curfew, but who has a curfew at 22 years old? When I listen to her story, it's heartbreaking to understand that where are you going to be able to see a light or be able to have oxygen to breathe, to say, hey, there's something better out there that I'm not being able to experience. And she wasn't able to do that because every day was, talked down to her. And even when they bought the car for her, now you didn't say you bought a new car. Did you say that?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay. So she bought a new car. That's your new baby.
Yeah, it's my new baby.
What is it?
A Nissan Kicks.
Okay. And she went and got it and chose it and paid for it and paid for her condo. And she's still growing. She can't grow anymore in her business unless she takes another promotion, which she even said, I'm not doing that because I'm going to make less money to do more work. Sometimes that happens when you're in management. So it's interesting where she's at today, but I'm very proud of you. You did amazing. There was not enough time to memorize the speech, but I say it's okay. It just comes from your heart because this speech eventually you're going to know it by heart. But not memorized, you're going to know it by heart because you're going to be able to feel your speech. You're going to be able to feel your story. Because it's her story. She can't fake it. It's all hers.